Hello everybody, it's Umarav Racing. Today's video, we're going to be comparing two different runs. As you can see, I'm from my house. I am sharing my screen with OBS and recording this. I also got this new mic. It has been a crazy year. As you can see, I've only had two events. These two events that you can see in front of me. The top part is July 12th and the bottom is October 18th. These are my track cross runs. If you've been subscribed to my channel, you can see I post a lot of track cross related videos. New ones are gonna come soon. I decided to just kind of compare and show what happened in July. In July, it was a hot summer day. As you can see, the intake air temperatures are almost like 33 degrees hotter than in October. This wasn't even the coldest day, the bottom one. Last November 2019, it was even cooler. The results were slightly better. So let's get into what happened. July 12th, I come in. The car has camber bolts. The car has stiffer front lower control arm bushings. The rear ones are double offset to give extra caster. I got Racers 360 online coaching from Jade Buford. He gave me some good suggestions, absorbed all of them, and I decided to apply them. And I was ready. I thought I was gonna beat my previous time. I never thought the Veloster end would heat soak, which is very naive and stupid. These cars are street cars built to last, pass emissions, but still retain some fun in them. The end cars are promoted as like they've been designed and tested on the Nürburgring. Yeah, they did a lot of stuff, but they also did it at a specific cost. They can't just slap like motorsports grade intercoolers and radiators and all that stuff. The stock intercooler, it leaves a lot on the table, and as you can see, you're gonna see in this run, these are the only track events I did this year. I didn't become like the Stig, like a professional driver in in quarantine, sitting at home sim racing. Difference in times are, I think, close to 4 seconds, 3 to 4 seconds, and you will see in the diff. I don't have like a time diff, but you'll see the diff between the map marker. Anyways, let's watch it and then I'll pause and we'll talk over some of the stuff. Now that we've seen the video, I'll post a 4K version of this video to my YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe and like this video, and be sure to also subscribe in the future to compare different runs. I want to do like a version 2 of my Mustang versus Veloster N run. I have my run from my fastest run with the Mustang and compare it to the Veloster N. So far in the afternoons, I completely just destroy my Mustang times with the Veloster. Last November, when it was even cooler, where I was being heat soaked even less, my times with the Veloster N, I was 4th overall across all the classes, all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, Mustangs and everything. So this car is very capable, and especially in this track, it suits it really well. It's also very easy to push the car. Like, this car is just easy car to just drive at the limit. It gives a lot of confidence. The e-diff really helps you out. As long as you position the car, you rotate the car, you don't overdrive. You will see in some of the runs, some of my low minimum speeds in some places are slightly lower in the bottom run, but then I'm able to pick up more speed elsewhere. I think like if the elements were the same, I would still be faster at the bottom one because I was cleaning up my runs. And what I did was at the bottom one, I reviewed the data with compared to my last November 2019 run with this October run, and I compared in Track Addict. There's a way where you can overlay and start them at the same spot, and it's like, you know, kind of looking at those F1 graphics where it's not as fancy. This is not as fancy either, but anyways, you can see the dots and you can see where I'm getting ahead. And I watched this like before this session, this last session. This is the last session of the day. I have to come in after this. I'm like, you know what, I'm not getting faster. I'm not able to beat my time from last year. I still couldn't beat it. I was like less than a tenth slower. I think I couldn't beat my time, but I still used the overlay to compare my the second run of the day in October, and I saw where I was losing time. So I was like, you know what, instead of doing like a certain line or carrying certain speed, I decided to, you know, roll a little bit more speed, you know, use the tire grip, use more of the track. So that's how I was able to improve. So let's go back to some of the parts. As we can see from the start, once we get to that first apex, paused. So here, already here, the car revved up to 6100 at the bottom one, and I'm only at 5100 at the top one, and there's already a 10 mph speed difference. Like, this is just a launch. Like, let's say I, you know, shift slightly slower. This is pretty bad. This is how much the car cuts power. So if you can, pretty much the TLDR for this video, it's a little late for the TLDR, but if you get an intercooler, you're gonna get automatic wins as far as like acceleration, horsepower, and time. Like, it's ridiculous. So like if we go slightly forward, go back, pause, when we're here, we're at the apex with the top one, and we're at 49 miles per hour and at 5400 RPM. Like, this is how much timing the engine is pulling because of temperatures. So it was kind of playing with my mind. Like, the reason why I'm kind of like overreacting, it's just like I was so frustrated. Did I become such a shitty driver over, you know, the winter break, and this is the first track event of the year? Did I become this bad? Then, you know, once it hit me, it's like, yo, like, your car is heat soaked. And at the bottom run, between each run, I would pop the hood, you know, make sure just to extract as much heat as possible. I think for next year, I don't know if I'll get an intercooler or not. It's a pretty expensive investment. Granted, I'm not gonna have these issues as much. The heating problems with the Veloster end will always pop up somewhere else. This car is a pretty hot car. I might just get one of those fans just connected to the car and just, you know, cool the car that way. Anyway, so like, let's go to, I guess, the second turn, because the starting line is right before the first turn. Go to the second turn, maybe like look at the middle of the corner speeds. I am the middle of this left turn over here. As you can see, I am carrying like the same amount of speed. In the end, it's like limited tire grip, and the place that I paused at the bottom one, I'm a little bit more ahead. That's why the G-forces are a little bit lower. You know how this gravel trap here is? I want to see when that gravel trap kind of goes away. As you can see, it looks like the top part is a little bit zoomed in. The reason for that is that for the bottom one, I disabled GoPro stabilization. As you can see how much stabilization takes. So let's go a little bit more forward. So here, that gravel trap just disappeared. I'm doing 47 miles per hour and doing 0.85 of G. And let's go to the top one. Slightly more G's, but lower speed. I was able to carry maybe 1 mile per hour more at the bottom one. Look at the speed at this cone over here. So the cone just disappeared. 64 miles per hour, 1 G. So far things are looking good. Full throttle, 64 miles per hour. Let's look at the top one. Okay, the cone disappeared, 61 miles per hour and 0.89 Gs. Those are some of the differences. Carrying more speed, that's why the G-forces are a little bit higher. So let's look at the turn-in now. Okay, so turn-in, again, we're at 1.06 Gs, 53 miles per hour. Let's look at the top one. Top one, around 50 miles per hour. I'm carrying more speed, and as you can see at the bottom, the rear got a little tail happy. Again, same number of Gs, just slightly more speed. And then let's look at the apex. So at the apex, I'm doing 60 miles per hour. I think if I had turned in a little bit smoother and released the brakes a little bit smoother, if I didn't have oversteer at that moment, I think I would have been a little bit faster. Regardless, I think it's still a pretty good run. So let's look at the top one at the apex. Again, 57 miles per hour, a little bit lower. So here at the first apex, 67 miles per hour, 66. So again, it's like similar speed through the turns, through these like, you know, technical sections, but it's just, you'll see like once we get to the straightaway, the speed that I'm building is much more. All right guys, so at the bottom one here at the cone, this is where I think like some of the minimum speeds are a little bit lower at the bottom one. So I'm at 48 miles per hour right at that cone. So I slowed down a little bit more. As you can see on the left on the graph, the red dips a little bit lower. In the red section, as soon as I come off the S's, I just, instead of pointing to the left, because all the HPDs and instructors will say point towards that flagpole and brake in a straight line. Instead, I, you know, carried a little bit more speed, but then brake in a straight line, but hug it a little bit tighter. I need to experiment. I need to do an HPD to compare the time. That felt more natural. I am able to, coming out of that turn, put less steering and still carry a lot of speed. Or else, to kind of follow that recommendation, I have to turn the steering wheel, turn the car a little bit more so I get a wider entry. This way I can trail brake and rotate the car. So in here I'm at 48 miles per hour at the cone. In here I'm at 45 miles per hour. So again, it's both heat soak, but also like I'm trying different things. And in here, you know, I'm already like full throttle. I mean, both places full throttle, but like in here, the way I am turning I'm able to kind of relax the steering wheel a little bit earlier with the bottom run. So turn in, doing 45 miles per hour. 43, so carrying a little bit more speed into the apex. I think I could have used a little bit more track at the turn in. After, you know, reviewing this, I think I left a little bit more space. It's just from also like, I don't know if it's from sim racing or not, you know, I always like clip the grass in games and you just lose the car, that's it. So, but I think I could still use a little bit more track to increase the, you know, the radius. So just look at the speed at this cone over here. So got out of the view, 78 miles per hour and 5,700 RPM. 78 and 5,700. There you go, 72 and 5,400 RPM. This is pure heat soak at this point. You can't get this much, you know, speed difference by getting like a better exit, especially in the same car. And as far as modifications, I didn't really have any new modifications. I just maybe bled the brakes and that's it. Actually, I didn't even bleed the brakes for this event because I bled the brakes before the top one. I had stainless steel brake lines installed. So now let's look at the kind of, once we get out of the S's, there's a cone on the left. Let's look at the kind of the speeds coming through there. All right, so that's the cone on the left. I'm doing 103 miles per hour. Again, full throttle through this whole section. Front wheel drive, and Veloster has some positive, I guess, downforce, where you're getting some downforce and the car is very planted. And you want to stay flat through this section because you're, with this car's power band, we're not at the ideal range. We're pretty much hitting the top part of the power band. So you want to make sure to just stay at the full throttle just to maximize this section. So let's look at the top one. So we're at 103. So that cone is in a different place, but I just paused it where it would be. 97 miles per hour. That's a pretty big difference. And as far as top speed goes, I think I did 107 or 107 or 108. Doesn't show here. At the top one, it was I think 103. Yeah, so like 102, like a decent amount of top speed lost as well. Anyways, I mean, after this, it's pretty much the last turn, last November actually, the time that I, can't really beat in this bottom one. I actually understeer in the last corner and lose some time. This time I like brake a little bit earlier, and you can still hear the tires overwhelmed. I'm able to rotate the car a little bit earlier and get a better exit. So. As you can see, I got on the full throttle right before the apex, so it means I could have just rolled a little bit more speed. It's usually like if you can get on the throttle before the apex, you're carrying too little speed. So I think could have carried a little bit more speed. We can compare the speeds from the top to bottom, but let's see. So at the apex, 50 miles per hour. At the bottom one, yeah, 46 miles per hour at the top one. So it's again much lower. Yeah, and in the end, it's just that's the finish. This is the time difference. Heat soak is real in the Veloster N. I'm gonna post this video just standalone, just this whole run without any commentary, so you can analyze it and watch it, and I'll post it in 4K. One thing I'll do is separate out the audio channels. So I'll put the top one on the left channel and the bottom one to the right channel, so that when you're listening on headphones or some kind of speakers, there's some separation. For this one, I forgot to do it, so the sound might come a little overwhelming. It's hard to tell what's going on. If I separate out the channels, you could hear, oh, like the left one is the blue one, right one is the red one, and you could hear when the shifts are happening, I get on the brakes and the gas. So anyways, this was fun to make. It's a little tedious with this program. Crashed on me once. It was still a good learning experience. I think this overlay works pretty well. Just let me know how this looks. If you have any suggestions, if you have any other programs that you use for this, let me know as well. Winter is starting, so I'm going to be posting this kind of content. I'm going to be streaming on iRacing and Assetto Corsa Competizione. Make sure to subscribe. I have the track cross runs coming soon, so I'm going to post them. They might actually be uploaded before this one. Make sure to subscribe. I recently passed 100 subscribers, so really would appreciate your support. If you enjoy my videos, if you find them helpful, it will just incentivize more. Also, I have a bunch of Amazon affiliate links at the bottom. If you use those links, you don't have to buy those products, but if you buy something else, you'll support me directly on purchases that kind of qualify. Not everything qualifies, but they'll just give me, a couple cents here and then. So support the channel and support my racing. So thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. Again, if you have any comments, any questions, make sure to post it below, or just, message me on Instagram or Facebook. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.